Hello, my name is Humberto Omaña, and I'm a PhD candidate from the University of Western Ontario. Today, I'll be presenting to you a project titled Association of Cognitive Status, Processing Speed, Executive Function, and Balance Confidence on Dynamic Balance in people novice at using a lower limb prosthesis. Nearly half of people with lower limb amputations fall within 6 months of discharge from inpatient prosthetic rehabilitation, and mainly while walking. Walking with a prosthesis is a complex motor task that is cognitively demanding, yet 52 to 56% of people with low limb amputations have cognitive impairment. You see, gait is closely related to higher order cognitive processes, such as executive functions, that allow for all the planning, monitoring, and adjustments needed for mobility. Dynamic balance, the ability to maintain balance while moving, is critical to maintaining postural stability and preventing falls during mobility. Previous research in this population has demonstrated that impaired cognition is related to mobility, such as adverse gait. However, no research today has examined if an association exists between cognitive functions and cognitive distractors, such as a lack of balance confidence on dynamic balance in those novice at using a prosthesis for walking. The main objective of the present study was to evaluate the association of cognitive functions and balance confidence on dynamic balance in people with lower limb amputations at discharge from inpatient prosthetic rehabilitation. It was hypothesized that decreased cognitive functions and balance confidence would be independently associated with worse dynamic balance. This was a cross-sectional study of people from the inpatient prosthetic rehabilitation program at the Parkwood Institute. The inclusion criteria was more than 50 years of age, be able to converse in English, have a unilateral transtibial level amputation, and be able to walk at least 10 meters without the physical assistance from others, although walking aids were allowed. Individuals presenting with medical issues that may have impacted walking were excluded. The Montreal Cognitive Assessment was used to evaluate global cognitive status. The values on the MoCA range from 0 to 30, so that higher values are indicative of normal cognition, and those less than 26 suggest cognitive impairment. The trail-making tests A and B were used to evaluate processing speed and executive function. Reduced balance confidence is associated with an increased cognitive load that adversely affects walking. Thus, the activity-specific balance confidence scale was used to record balance confidence. To measure dynamic balance, we used the 4-square step test. As seen on figure 1 on your right, the participant stands on square 1 facing square 2 and then move as quickly as possible from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1, and then all the way around while avoiding the tape on the ground, so that lower FFSD times are indicative of better dynamic balance. 4 separate multivariable linear regression models were used to evaluate the independent association of cognitive status, processing speed, executive function, and balance confidence on the performance of the FFSD. This was done using a hierarchical approach, while adjusting for age, sex, etiology, and number of comorbidities. A total of 22 people participated. The mean age of participants was 62 years and 68% were male. The median MoCA score was 27 and 41% demonstrated cognitive impairment, while the median FFSD time was 27 seconds and ranging from 20 to 42 seconds. Time 2 shows the main results of the study, including the unadjusted left univariate and adjusted right multivariable linear regressions. Here we see that although an association was observed between the MoCA, TMTA, and TMTB on the time to complete the FFSD, none were observed once the models were adjusted. Overall, no association was observed between cognitive status, processing speed, executive functions, and balance confidence on dynamic balance in people novice at using a lower limb prosthesis. The creation of a hierarchy for clinical tests of physical function is required in this population to minimize instances of under or over challenging individuals. Clinical tests of mobility are essential for those working with people with lower limb amputations, and healthcare professionals benefit from knowing the relative cognitive demands of the tests that they commonly use. Thank you. And I would like to acknowledge the following institutions for their support. Bye.